a circles question. Now with circles, you are often asked to find out the area and the circumference. The area is the space that fills the inside of the shape. And here we have the formula, the area equals pi times r squared. We're also looking at the circumference. Now the circumference is the distance around the outside of the circle. On most other shapes, this is called the perimeter. We're going to talk about circumference today. The circumference equals pi times diameter. Before we do anything with this question, it's very important to make sure we know what the radius is and what the diameter is. Now, in this case, we have a line from the centre of the circle to the outside of the circle, so that's the radius. So little r equals 6 centimetres. Before we move on, we'll also write down what the diameter is. Now the diameter is the distance from one side of the circle to the other side of the circle going through the centre. So that means it is twice the radius. 6 times 2 will be 12 centimetres. Now we know those, we can move on. First of all, the circumference. If we're calculating the circumference, we need to know what pi is. Now pi is often used as 3.142. So we'll write that in. 3.142 times diameter. Times diameter in this case is 12 centimetres, so times 12. Type that into a calculator and we get the answer 37.7. centimetres. Now, when you do that in a calculator, you'll get more decimals, but we don't need all the decimals. In this case, we've just rounded to 1 decimal place. Moving on to the area, same idea. We write out the formula, but instead of the letters, we use the numbers. 3.142 for pi. Times radius squared. Now radius squared means the radius times the radius. In this case the radius is 6 centimetres, so it's times 6 times 6. Now if we type that into a calculator, again we'll get lots of digits, but we want to round to 1 decimal place and we get 113.1 centimetres squared. Again, the units are very important here. The circumference is measuring a distance, so it's in centimetres. The area is measured in centimetres squared. Sometimes for circle questions you'll be given the radius, like in the previous part. In this case we've been given the diameter because it's the line going all the way across through the centre. So we need to make sure we can clarify which one's which. We can write down that the diameter equals 18 centimetres as written on the board. But it's important to also write down the radius. Now the radius is half the diameter, so we need to just divide this number by 2, which is 9 centimetres. If we make sure we do this at the beginning of the question, then it avoids any confusion about which number to use when putting into the formula.